So I just started recording this Zoom meeting
Okay,
for everyone.
I'll go ahead and sounds good. Let's go ahead and get started. And I think as folks join in, they can participate and join us in the meeting. So thank you everybody for joining us today. I'm very excited to have our first, I'll call it our first virtual chapter meeting. And I kind of explain the difference between this and some other meetings we've had. But first of all, for those that I haven't met before, I just want to introduce myself. My name is Phi Mo, and I am the Arizona chapter president. And like I mentioned, this is our first virtual chapter meeting. So the last chapter meeting we had was in January of 2020, when we did our Vision Walk kickoff. We had Ben Shaberman come and share about some of the latest in research. And then we did our kickoff. So over the 2020, obviously that was a crazy year and with the pandemic. And so we've done different, just smaller meetings. We've also started a networking session. So I think many of you on the call have joined for various networking sessions as well, which I think is great. But this is our first opportunity to do a chapter meeting. And for those who have attended in the past, a similar format, you know, we have a couple awesome guest speakers that are going to share about different things in different topics. We'll share a little bit about what's going on with our chapter. And then also we're treating this as like a Vision Walk kickoff as well too, like a virtual kickoff for us here in Arizona. So just to go over the agenda really quick again, first we'll have Dr. Christina Reichardt. She's going to share about her story. It's a wonderful story. And for those who have maybe attended our Vision Walks in the past, I've shared for the past 2 years about Dr. Christina Reichardt and her daughter Ashlyn and their family. Dr. Reichardt spoke when we had a meeting in Tucson a couple years ago, and also was a guest speaker at our Dining in the Dark in 2019. So more of the continuation of the story and also some of the backstory as well too. And then we'll have Michelle Zunitch. She is from American Vision Partners and retinal consultants of Arizona. She's going to share a little bit about their practice and the retinal research that's going on there. We'll move on to a Vision Walk kickoff by Michelle Goldbarth Shapiro. And then we'll also talk a little bit about some of the things happening in our chapter around diversity and inclusion that started. And then I'll end with, and then also we have an announcement from Karen Hughes. She's from the American Council of the Blind. And then I'll end with some closing items, some things going on with our chapter. So just a few housekeeping things. As I mentioned earlier, we are recording this session, and that is so that we can save it and share it out on our social media for those who weren't able to attend. We also, I think everybody's doing this already, so thank you for that. Just ask everybody to mute themselves while we have our different speakers. Unmute if you have any questions. There is a raise hand feature, which you can, I think it is under, let me see if I see that here. I don't see that, but if you have any, something you want to ask a question on, I think you can under reactions. Let me just make that, oh, no, those are reactions. Yeah, if you have any questions, pop them in the chat. You can feel free to do that. We'll have some time for Q&A with each of our speakers. And yeah, so those are kind of the main housekeeping things with Zoom. So just kind of jumping into a little bit of our welcome here. This year is Foundation Fighting Blindness's 50th year or 50th anniversary. So there's going to be some exciting things that are coming out this year to both raise awareness for the foundation, to raise some funds for the foundation for the research, and obviously to help support the mission of the foundation, which is to fund and find cures for blinding retinal diseases. So very excited for that. Can't believe it's already been 50 years and there's more to come. So that's very exciting with that. There are some new folks. So the last time we had a chapter meeting, I did want to introduce some of the new folks that you'll get to meet throughout the meeting. First, I'll introduce Michelle. I'll go with Bar Shapiro. She is our events director, working with Kimmy. I think many of you guys know Kimmy. She's going to lead us in the Vision Walk kickoff portion.
Hi, everyone.
And then yes, hi, Michelle. Thank you. And then I'm also very excited to introduce Renee Paulsell. She joined the foundation a couple months ago and has done just some amazing things. She's come on as the director of chapters and has really taken a hold of all the chapters, met with all of us, built a chapter handbook, and then just some new and exciting things that are happening from a chapter perspective. So I was going to turn over to Renee and allow her to introduce herself and share a little bit about some of the exciting things that are happening for chapters coming in the next few years.
Awesome. Thanks, Fi. I appreciate it so much. And yes, thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of this group. I was hired. I've actually been here 5 months now, so it's been a great ride. I came from a long career with the American Diabetes Association and worked with them in a field operations standpoint. So I very much enjoy working with folks across the country in a very similar role. And so when I joined the organization, one of the things that I was really excited to find more about was the opportunity for the enhancement to chapter engagement. So for those of you who know anything about our 50th anniversary and sort of how we became to be the organization that we are today, one of our founding members is Mr. Gordon Gund. And Gordon has just been instrumental in raising funds and really providing those financial resources to our organization through both his philanthropy giving personally and then his friends and network that have really springboarded us to the organization we are today. His wife, Luli, was really a driving passion behind the chapters and formulating the chapters as we know it today. She led the Princeton, New Jersey chapter for her entire time with the organization, about 48 years. Luli did pass away. It's been a year ago now in March. And really to honor Luli's passing, Gordon gave a very large sum of money to formulate the underwriting of what we know now today to be our 50th anniversary and the kickoff of our chapter's rebranding. So named now in honor of Luli, Luli's light and vision, her next chapter. We really want to bring on some consistency within our chapters to have those in-person meetings again, like we did in the past, but keep a virtual component of those meetings as we move forward so that people can join from wherever they are throughout the state of Arizona to be part of the Arizona chapter, and really most importantly, have information that is important to you, formulating around an educational component, a resource component, and then a revenue component of each one of our meetings. Our chapter meetings will be held quarterly. So as Fi said, we're still going to continue with those wonderful networking things that he's doing and some of the others of you are doing to get together on a regular basis. But our really formal chapter meetings will be held more quarterly. We want them to be a formal organization, but an informal format. So you feel comfortable to visit, share thoughts and ideas. And then as a complement to those meetings, we do have our national chapter vision webinars, which Fi is going to mention a little bit later on with some specific topics, but those are held every other month. So we really want to make sure we're providing the resources of the foundation to you. As part of the chapter, we have chapter leadership, and Fi is one of our most outstanding presidents across the country. And we have a vice president, a chair of education, resources, and a chair of also revenue. And then our last chair in our organization is our chair of diversity and inclusion. And again, Fi is going to mention a little bit more about how Arizona has really led the charge in leadership in all of those roles. So again, I'm really thankful to be a part of this organization, working alongside each of you, and excited to get the chapters rolling. Fi?
All right. Thank you, Renee. As I mentioned, it's awesome to have you on board. So
thank you.
Thank you. All right. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into our first featured speaker. I'll introduce her to you. She's Dr. Christina Reichardt, and she is an optometrist and joined her dad's practice, the National Eye and Ear of Tucson, back in 2005. So Dr. Reichardt's youngest daughter, Ashlyn, was born with a rare visual condition called Leber's congenital amaurosis, or LCA, and blindness. She was the first girl in the United States to receive Luxturna, the gene treatment, which has been FDA approved, and regained her vision at the age of 10. She just turned 13, and her journey has been a miracle. Dr. Christina Reichardt provides eye genetic testing to help patients learn more about their eyes and help them through their journey. She loves being an optometrist, helping people see and care for their eye health. She's honored to be part of this amazing foundation community. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Dr. Christina Reichardt.
Thank you so much, Phi. I appreciate it. As Phi said, my name's Christina Reichardt. I'm an optometrist, and my lovely family is what kind of got me into all this. I've got a family of 4. It's myself, my husband, Dan, my oldest daughter, Kaylee, and my youngest daughter, Ashlyn. My dad's an optometrist too, so I grew up with optometry and eyes. I knew I wanted to become an optometrist pretty early on because I loved helping people and I love the vision aspect, and eyes were interesting, let's face it. I got pregnant with Kaylee when I was in my last year of optometry school. And when I had her, everything was pretty typical. I was just starting off as a doctor, joining my dad in his practice. And when I held Kaylee for the first time, she looked me right in the eye. She looked at all of our faces. And like I said, things were pretty typical. My pregnancy with Ashlyn was next. They're about 2.5 years apart in age. And Ashlyn, easy pregnancy, normal, typical stuff. And when she was born, she didn't look at me. So when I first had her, she didn't look me in the eye. She didn't look at my face. She would always gaze up at all the lights. And I knew pretty quickly that things were a little different with her vision and her eyes. We had lots of love and faith and people behind us that loved us, and we had a lot of hope and courage throughout the whole process. Vision or not, we didn't care. She was our little girl, and we loved her and still love her very, very much, of course. So when she was little, she would always look at all the lights. Her eyes had this funny little jiggle to it called nystagmus. She just went focus on things, and she never, looked at things besides the light. I mean, she loved light. We had her to many, many, many specialists over the years: ophthalmology, optometry, early intervention, neurology, you name it, we took her there. She was diagnosed with cerebral palsy, which we found out later she does not have, but it was one of our first diagnoses. And the doctor that we saw told us that she would never talk or walk or see. That's devastating for a parent, and we said, well, it is what it is. We'll get through this and we'll figure it out. And we love her and we don't care. We wanted to redefine what was possible, and we never really believed in that you can't or you won't. We wanted to live fiercely and always believe, and that's how we've always done it. We saw more experts, had more diagnoses. She had esotropia, which meant her eyes turned in. She was very farsighted. She was diagnosed with ocular albinism because she has really light features, including a very light retina. But in my heart, I felt like that wasn't right. I felt like there was more to it. She would keep track of her toys with her feet when she was a little baby, which was super cute. She would bounce on her knees instead of walking and put her hand up to her head like this to protect her little face from bumping into things. She had her own timeline and she had her own way of doing things, which is pretty awesome. She had her own trajectory, and we always celebrated that trajectory. Let's see, she trailed the walls with her hands. She could recognize our footsteps to tell who was in the room. We didn't have to say a word. She knew us by the way we walked. She did this funny little sound location thing as a toddler where she'd make these little clicking sounds to tell where she was at. And then she'd make this whoo sound to figure out the room, which is pretty neat to watch too. We did genetic testing when she was very young, probably about 4 or 5 years old. It was super expensive at that time because times were different then, you know, and we said, we want to test everything and try to get this figured out. At that time, the pediatrician did the genetic testing, and she just didn't ever have a real diagnosis. Everybody said, well, things are highly unusual. She's unique, but they didn't really know what it was. So we just had them keep running more tests. The first genetic testing came back saying everything's fine. So we said, okay. At that point, she was about 21,000 visually. So her vision was quite poor. The big E, she couldn't even close to see. And when lights were low, she really had a hard time. She'd bump into the wall. We did preschool, we did OT and speech and PT and orientation and mobility, and had teachers of the visually impaired. And we redid our house so that we had lights everywhere because that's the only way she could see. Our house glowed. I mean, you could see it from the street. There were so many lights on. And she had adoptions, a lot of adoptions. Through this process, when Ashlyn was really young, I learned a lot more about the world of visual impairment. I learned about blind people. I learned, I met my neighbor across the street who was blind, and I just knocked on her door and said, I saw a sticker on your van about blindness. Do you know somebody who's blind? And she says, hey, I am. And we talked, and I gained a lot of new friends and had a lot of new experiences through it. I became a member of the National Federation of the Blind and a member of the Lions Club, because those were organizations at that time that I knew of that were for vision and eyes. We had all these tools for low vision. She loved music, and we had music throughout our house all the time. In elementary school, she had some pretty tough experiences. We had to explore a lot to find the right school, but we did. And we just kept seeking more help and looking for more experts. We probably saw every doctor in town for, you know, developmental pediatrics, for neurology, for genetics, for vision. She was next diagnosed with something called congenital stationary night blindness, which meant that she couldn't see well at night. Well, that fit. I mean, she couldn't see well at night. So, you know, we said, well, maybe that's what it is. Who knows? Sure, that sounds good. We got another set of genetic tests at that point from ophthalmology. And again, no conclusive results. Everything came back looking pretty normal. The thing was, if you don't test for specific stuff, you don't find the specific stuff, especially if it's rare. At night, at this point, she was completely blind. She couldn't get around independently at all. So pretty much, if we were out at night, the night ended because she couldn't see. It wasn't fun anymore. We kept having more celebrations. We celebrated every success. We knew that faith and love would get us far, and we never gave up hope. So it was really hard to get answers, to get a diagnosis, but you know, we just kept trekking along. My optometry heart and mind said, I don't think this is it. We had more appointments. And at the age of 9, her developmental pediatrician agreed to do a complete genetic evaluation, which I was like, hey, let's just do it. Why not? At that point, her vision had gotten a little bit better. She was about 2,800. So it was improving a little, which we were very grateful for. After she got her first genetic test, which was they took a little swab at the pediatrician's office and swabbed her cheek. About a month, several months later, actually, about 6 months later, they called us back and said, we need more information. Well, we've heard that before. We said, okay, what do we do now? And they said, we need a genetic test from you and your husband. So we said, okay. They took a little cheek swab of our cheek, and we said, maybe this means they're figuring something out. Several months later, they said, well, you need to make an appointment with a geneticist. So the geneticist came in, and we had little Ashlyn, and she was on the ground looking up at the lights. And my husband and I were there, and they said, your daughter has a very rare condition called Leber's congenital amaurosis. My brain almost exploded. I was like, wait a minute, what? This can't be. She's atypical. When you have Leber's, one of the top symptoms is sensitivity to light. My child loves light. She's obsessed with light. And I just kept thinking, you know, in optometry school, they used a phrase that said, it's not rare if it's in your chair, meaning if it's right in front of you, it's right in front of you. And so things that are rare are sometimes what the situation is. So it came up that that's what the situation was. She was an outlier. She didn't fit exactly the mold, but there doesn't have to be an exact mold. So she never did this oculodigital eye pressing sign either, where you press on your eyes a bunch. She never did that, and her retina looked completely normal. Leber's congenital amaurosis is a vision impairment that gets worse over time typically. Usually by the early 20s, your vision is quite poor and it gets worse at night and it gets worse over time. There's a lot of different types of Leber's, over 13 types actually. It's pretty rare. There's about 1 in 100,000 cases. And in Arizona, there's only a couple cases that I'm aware of. So quite a rare condition. It's one of the most common types of childhood blindness, Leber's is. She has a specific type of Leber's called RPE65. It's Leber's congenital amaurosis 2. That means she got a gene from me and a gene from my husband, which combined, she had a 1 in 4 chance of coming down with the condition, and she got it, and her sister did not get it. Leber's can result from mutations in about 14 genes. The development and function of the retina is very affected, and it's autosomal recessive. So I didn't have any signs or symptoms. My husband didn't have any signs or symptoms, but our genes together combined to give Ashlyn the condition where she's very symptomatic. So it's because Ashlyn got both copies of the mutated gene. I did a bunch of research at this point. You better bet I did, to kind of try to see, what we can figure out, if there was anything we can do, or other people who've experienced this, or just to get a group of people to hopefully figure this out with us. So I got on directories, I did some research, I got on Facebook, I found out that there were clinical trials in England, I talked to some doctors in Europe, I found out through my retina tracker and clinicaltrials.org that there were clinical trials, but none in the United States. So the first successfully treated person with gene therapy was in 2008, which ironically is the year that Ashlyn was born. There were 12 subjects in that clinical trial. It was in Pennsylvania. And I found one of the moms whose kid was in the clinical trial through Facebook, actually. And I just reached out to her. I said, hey, what do I have to lose? So I got in contact with her through Messenger, and I started talking with her. And she's like, I said, would you do it again? Did he have success with Luxturna, this gene therapy? And she said, you know what? He's been so successful with it. And it's something that we do all over again. And if you want to talk to my son, I'll put you on the phone with him. And it was just this really cool, moment where I was like, you know what? This is pretty amazing. At that point, it wasn't even a possibility though, because it wasn't FDA approved. There were no doctors doing it yet. I learned at that point about the Foundation Fighting Blindness. You guys, it's an amazing group, and you guys helped make Luxturna possible. So I am so grateful for the Foundation Fighting Blindness for that. For gene therapy, it uses a virus vector to deliver the genes and to restore the vision for these kids, these people. In 3 clinical trials, I learned that patients recovered all of a good part of their functional vision, and there weren't really any side effects. And the side effects were minor that could be remedied. So July 1st, 2016, Spark Therapeutics announced the full results of the gene therapy trials that they'd been running. And the first study showed that it was safe and effective, and the subjects that underwent gene therapy in both eyes had good results. They showed that it was pretty stable long-term, even though that's still kind of being looked at more, but the kids who had it done back then still have good vision, which is pretty awesome. So time went by. Ashlyn's about 9 at this point. In December of 2017, the FDA-approved Luxturna for the RPE65. So that's the gene therapy. I got a phone call from the ophthalmologist, Dr. Pakal, saying, Ashlyn's a candidate. It was on Christmas Eve, and it was the best Christmas present we could have ever imagined. We kind of knew that it was coming. I was involved with a lot of the FDA stuff at that point, but just hearing that it's a real possibility, it was incredible. I can't even put into words how amazing it was. It was the best gift. So at that point, we didn't know how any of this would play out. We didn't know what was next. I got a random phone call from this guy through Luxturna named Mike. He introduced himself as Mike from Spark, and I was like, what's Spark? Wait, who are you? And he said, I want to meet with you and your husband. Let's talk. It's about your daughter's eyes, and I'm with this company, and we'd like to meet. So we had a meeting. He met at my husband's office with me and my husband, and he kind of talked about all the possibilities. At that point, things were brand new. He told us it was expensive, about $1 million. But these were exciting times. At this point, we said, sign us up. What do we have to do? He told us about the potential locations for the surgery. There were about seven universities and 7 ophthalmologist practices that at that point were places that were doing the surgery, but none of those doctors had done the surgery yet. So, we said, how is all this going to work? They said, well, they're going to go through a little class. They're going to watch a little video. It's similar to a lot of the other surgeries that they've done on other people. I did my research. I looked into all, the different places as far as proximity to Tucson goes, because I live in Tucson. And we decided that we were going to do this, and we didn't care how it was going to be done, but we were going to do it. And I interviewed several of the doctors. I looked at more Facebook boards and met more families and more kids who had Liebers. So I kind of got a community behind me at this point of different families who were going through similar stuff, which, we compared our kids and talked and answered each other's questions and just supported one another. This was all unknown. At this point, we were just hoping for the best. I met Dr. Nagel and Dr. Lee at the Children's Hospital in Los Angeles. And as soon as I met him, I knew that they were the right choice. It was just one of those things where you're like, that's who I want for my child. That's who I want in my corner. They were close, which was really good because with the surgery, they put in a little bubble into the retina and you can't fly. And so you can't even travel through mountains for a period of time. So we wanted something relatively close, but it was really super important that we found the right doctor. At this point, Ashlyn had just turned 10 years old. So we were at the elementary school graduation for my oldest daughter, Kaylee, and we got a phone call saying, it's been approved. We've got the supplies. If you're really into this and want to do it, we can meet you guys in April and meet you guys in May and let's get this surgery going. So I ducked out of Kaylee's graduation and ran to the door, took the phone call, and I said, let's do it. And so Kaylee finished up with her graduation and came out, and I'm sobbing. I'm completely in tears of joy. And, everybody's like, what happened? And I said, we're doing this. We're getting Ashlyn's surgery. It was incredible. We didn't know if insurance was going to pay. We didn't know how the surgery was going to go, but we said, we want to do this for our child. And Ashlyn wanted to do it. It was all of us. It was a group effort. Ashlyn was excited, but not knowing if she was excited. And it was scary because it was surgery and it was a big deal. So we decided that in May of 2018, that this was going to be it. We were going to do it. And we didn't care if insurance would cover it or not. We hoped they would. We said we'd sell everything we have in order to make this happen if we had to. And we were driving to Los Angeles, California, not knowing if insurance would cover it, but we already committed to having it done. The day before the surgery, we got the phone call that insurance was going to help. So that was wonderful. At this point, we were setting the stage for the guidelines for the insurance companies. We were, kind of getting the ball rolling on how this would work out for other people in the future. And so it was a big deal that we did it right. In May of 2018, we had the pre-operation, the pre-op for the surgery, and was scheduled for surgery the next day. We had faith and hope and courage and just really believed that it was going to be okay and work out. Ashlyn was the first girl in the United States to receive the Luxturna gene therapy since FDA approval. We did drops, we did steroids. Her sister helped her get in the hospital gown the day of the surgery. And it was pretty awesome. It was very nerve-wracking. And we were, to say stressed out is probably the understatement of the year, but we knew we'd get through it. The virus vector with Luxturna is injected under the retina. So they go in and they put her under and they do the surgery. And the vitreous, which is the jelly of the eye, has to be removed. And then they put a bubble in there to protect the Luxturna on the retina, and it kind of goes to where they want it to go. And the cool thing is they took a video of all that for me. So I got to see the video of Ashlyn's surgery. The doctors actually wanted me to go in the day of the surgery and watch her get the surgery done. My mama heart said, no, 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 that's my baby. I can't watch my baby get a major surgery. So I said, no, thank you for asking. But it was a crazy, crazy time. It was cool to be able to watch the surgery afterwards though. Then we did more steroids, more drops, more ointment. And after the surgery, Ashlyn woke up and the steroids running through her body really rocked her world. They got her agitated and upset, and it was hard to calm her down. The thing was, she had to be calm and laying in one position after the surgery for several days. We kept her calm as much as we could. We laid her down, we talked to her, we sang with her, we had the iPad above her face so that she could watch it. We hung out and we did everything we could to just keep her still, which is not easy when you're a little kid and you have steroids running through your body. They did one eye at a time. When they took the patch off on the second day, we took her back to the hospital and she couldn't see anything, which was very stressful, but it's because there was a bubble in her eye. So they said, just give it more time. We spent lots of time in the closet. She couldn't stand any light. She was so light sensitive that we found a nice little closet in the place that we were staying, took everything out of the closet, and we just sat in the closet for days and days and days and days because she couldn't handle any light. So we were in the dark a lot, which was exactly the opposite of what Ashlyn preferred before. On day 4, Ashlyn said, oh my gosh, Mom, I can see your eyes. And she pointed right at him. She says, I can see the color, your eyes are brown. And then of course I started to sob. I was like, wait, what? You can see my eyes? She then told us the color of her sister's eyes and the dad's eyes, and went on to talk about everything she could see. She went and looked in the mirror at her face for like an hour. She just couldn't believe how she looked. She that day was able to go outside and see a cloud in the sky for the first time. She'd never seen a cloud before. She pointed at it and said, what is that? And we told her, well, that's a cloud. We had many experiences like this on the days after. On day 6, Ashlyn kept describing things. I mean, she was talking about everything, letting us know. Her reading at that point was 2080. So she went from 21,000 to 2080, which was, I mean, after 6 days, a miracle. Then day 7, which was the day of her next eye surgery. We had to go through it all again. She kept taking the steroids, which build up in your system. So she was getting more and more hyper and antsy. And, we were like, oh boy, here we go again. But she knew that there was something good to come. We did it all again. Next eye surgery. It was extremely, it was a lot again. They had this little monitor that would tell you where your child was at in the surgery process, which is like you wanted to watch, but you didn't really want to watch it. So that was kind of interesting. And they had just the best team of people there to care for me and my husband and my other daughter. And it was a really good hospital experience. And Ashlyn, they had a big fish tank there. So when we went back, Ashlyn could tell us about all the fish and all the different colors. On day 12, a few days after her second eye surgery, we went to an aquarium in California, and it was so cool. As we were driving down the street, Ashlyn pointed at a sign that said, call your mom. And we didn't even know she could read, okay? Because we just said words out loud like C-A-L-L, and she'd be like, call, and she was learning Braille and stuff. So, but she pointed at the sign and she read the sign that said, call your mom, that was on the side of the road. It was wild. We're just like, what just happened there? She saw the fish at the aquarium. She wasn't tripping over steps anymore. She was looking down when she was walking, and she was walking independently at dusk. We purposely took her out at dusk to see what she would do, and she had no problem. It was like, wow, this really worked. She was reading print and books. She was at the zoo naming all the animals. We decided, we wanted to cram as much input as we could in. And she was like, what's that animal? And we told her flamingo. And she's like, oh, a flamingo. Whoa, look at its legs. And, because it's stuff she's never seen. So it was a whole different ball game. She was about 20/70 vision at this point. We had to wait for the bubble to absorb in her retina. that was a whole thing. So the bubble in her retina did not absorb the way they expected it to, because she was the first girl to have it done in the United States. I mean, they didn't really know what to expect besides the clinical trials. So, you know, we had everything packed up. We turned in our keys and we went to the hospital to check out and let us go home. And they said, oh no, you can't leave. She's got a bubble in her retina. If you go over those mountains, we don't know what's going to happen. And we said, okay, we will go back to our place. How many more days do we have to stay? About a week later, they checked again and the bubble was gone. So that was a very interesting part of the story. When we got home, so we had to drive from California. It was a long drive, and she was still dilated from having her, you know, surgery, and she was still on all these steroids. And so it was a very, very, very long drive home. And because she had new vision and it was peripheral vision, it was making her car sick. And so she, you know, she was a little sick a little bit along the way too, which was a bit tough, but she was going home and she was going to see her bedroom for the first time. So when we got home, it was really awesome. It was late at night, and she got to see her bedroom for the first time. So she was, you know, talking about all this stuff she was seeing in her bedroom, and she looked at her bed and she just burst into tears. And we were like, what is going on? Why is she so upset? Well, she burst into tears because her bed had a giant pig on it. She was into Peppa Pig, but she didn't realize what Peppa Pig looked like. And she was not happy with the way Peppa Pig looked. So we took off the bedspread, flipped it over. I mean, she was fine with the way Peppa looked after that, but it was shocking to her. She got to see her dogs for the first time. She didn't realize that their ears were the way that they were, and that the colors of them were the way they were. She got to see her grandparents for the first time. That was truly magical. My parents, her grandparents got a new dog while we were gone getting surgery named Jackpot, because my dad knew we were going to hit the jackpot in Ashlyn's eye surgery. So she got to meet Jackpot for the first time. She got to see fireworks. She's never got to see that. She hated 4th of July and fireworks before that because it was just loud sounds. She couldn't see the beautiful patterns of the lights and what the fireworks look like, but now she can. One of my favorite memories is when we were going to school for the first time after her surgery, and she went outside and she saw her shadow on the driveway, and she's moving her arms and moving her legs, and her shadow is moving along with it. And she just was completely excited, and it was just so cool to watch. She got to watch the rain and the snow and actually put her tongue out and catch a snowflake. That was a pretty cool one. She got to go trick-or-treating, which she couldn't really do before because it was dark and she'd be tripping all over and get frustrated and upset. So that was a fun one too. We had a party where there was going to be swimming, and before, we just would never go to those because it wasn't fun if it was dark for her. She went swimming. She could see in the pool and she could see to get up the steps. And it was pretty awesome to see her confidence increase. Has been pretty amazing too. We got to talk to a lot of families who underwent Luxturna gene therapy treatment. So whenever people were diagnosed with it from the Children's Hospital in Los Angeles, I got to speak with the families, which has been a true gift. I got to tell them my experiences and my daughter's experiences and kind of describe all the exciting parts of what we've been through. And now I am so fortunate that I get to test my patients for genetic conditions. So I'm doing a 292 gene panel on any of my patients that, want it. And we figure it out, and we, look into different options, and science and technologies turning all the time. And we've got some of them into clinical trials, and it's been a pretty cool experience. So if it wasn't for Ashlyn, all this wouldn't have happened, and it's pretty awesome. The future for Ashlyn's bright and clear, and we're stronger together. And I'm just so thankful to be part of the Foundation Fighting Blindness and in this family of amazing people. And Kaylee, my other daughters, learned how to be a compassionate sister, and Ashlyn's learned how to navigate life differently, both in the beginning and now, because it's very different. We got to speak at the Foundation Fighting Blindness Drive, Dining in the Dark, and just grow with you guys. So thank you for all that. We keep having new adventures all the time, and in medicine and genetics, things are advancing. So Ashlyn's story is still being written, to be continued. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions? I don't know if you want questions now or
Thank
not.
you.
Pi. Yep.
Oh, I was looking for my mute button, and then I just love hearing the story, Dr. Reichardt, of like
Mhm.
just Ashlyn. Could you tell us like what's life now for her as a teenager?
It's totally different. You know, she's confident. She's outside playing on her water slide now. I should go and show you guys. She's having a good old time. She's independent. She's, you know, there's still some challenges, of course, because, you know, vision's not perfect, but she's learning and we're growing and she's confident and she can see better. So life's a lot different now.
What a miracle, right?
Truly,
Oh,
truly.
truly a miracle. Yes. I was curious, did anybody else have questions? I just loved the energy you share that with, Dr. Reichardt, because it's just comes from the heart. It's so personal.
Mm-hmm.
I just love hearing that. And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and again, just one of the miracles of 16 years of research. You know, if I'm not mistaken, it was 16 years from the very beginning to when Luxturna was FDA approved. And then to have, you know, Ashlyn receive the treatment after that. And it takes time, but that was the first one. And there's hopefully many more to come.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Anybody else have a question? It's funny, I said, why don't you raise your hands? But then I realized I'm not the best at seeing those kind of things happen. So if someone else is like, feel free to like jump off mute and ask anything or post something in the chat and that kind of stuff.
This is Renee Paulsell. I've got a question for you. So what grade is your daughter in now?
She's in, well, let's see, because it's different. She's in a school that doesn't go by grades.
Okay.
So she's, let's see, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. She's in like 5th grade.
Okay. So she's in that tween years right now then.
The tween year.
Yeah. So what is her aspiration as she goes into high school and graduates? What does she want to do with her life?
She hasn't really figured that out yet. You know, at this point, everything's just so new. And so she's just kind of trying to figure it all out. So she doesn't really know what she wants to do yet. Probably something with art or music or something, because that's really what she's into.
Awesome.
Maybe something with education too, because I mean, she could educate on what she's been through for sure.
Yes.
Motivational speaker for sure. She takes after her mama. There you go. Thank you for sharing. Wonderful story.
Of course.
Has she picked up any new hobbies?
She's swimming independently now, and she does a lot of swimming. What doesn't she do? I mean, she's out there playing all the time. She's reading. She's playing. She does all sorts of stuff. Nothing specific. She's active all the time.
Oh, so wonderful. So wonderful. Any other questions from the folks?
I do. This is Susan Haig. I'm on the phone. You can't see me, but I am so impressed with your story and just in tears over it.
Oh,
it is such a beautiful story. I can't even believe it. I also am going to Dr. Bacall because I introduced me, and thank God he did, because he has really been an amazing doctor as well. And they're doing new studies in Stargardt's, with just a vitamin adjustment. So it's such a miracle to hear that the genetic portion of it is actually really working. I think a lot of us are looking forward to that one day, and to hear that it's actually viable and it worked. It's just amazing. I really appreciate your story. I can't even tell you how exciting that is. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate that feedback.
Thank you.
We have
Thank you, Susan.
We have a note in the chat bar from Crystal that says, Christina, you're such an inspiration and have always been so helpful with my son and my family. We love you. We love you and are grateful for you. And then Artemis shared, you remind me of my own mom. She was relentless in finding out what was happening to me. Your family is so lucky. And then lastly, I'd like to share that I believe Dr. Bacall is actually on the call. So he, I'm sure is, I've never had the pleasure of meeting him, but I'm sure he is smiling as he's listening to all these wonderful things. And on my end, that was beautiful. And I really appreciate you sharing it with us. It's very moving and so positive.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. And I'm going to share out a link right now to the story that Dr. Reichardt's older daughter, Kaylee, wrote about her sister. And it was published as one of our Beacon stories. So I just shared a link out to that. So if you have that, you can see that in the chat. Go and click on that and just read that story. And that's what Kaylee shared at our last Dining in the Dark too. And I thought she just did such a wonderful job of reading her story, you know, with the two of you together. So that was absolutely very special. So I just wanted to share out the story that she wrote, and she was actually published in a book in Tucson. I don't remember the book of. Remind me again, Dr. Rick.
Yeah, it was the Festival of Books. Yeah, she was
Festival of
picked.
Books.
Yeah, it was super cool. They did a whole thing at the university, and yeah, it was really neat.
Nice. Well, awesome. Well, thank you, Dr. Reichardt, for sharing your story. If there's any other questions from folks, feel free to chime in or put them in the chat as well too. I am going to go ahead and transition to our next speaker. We're very excited to have Michelle Zunitch share about the research that's happening over with American Vision Partners. So Michelle Zunitch has worked in ophthalmology for 24 years, and she's been with the Retinal Consultants of Arizona for 14 of those. After working in the clinic as a physician scribe and surgical scrub, she transitioned into management. She has been in management since 2012, and most recently joined the research team as the research manager in early 2020. She enjoys learning and strives to improve both the patient and business processes. So Michelle, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Phi. Hi, everyone. As Phi said, my name is Michelle Zunitch. I am with American Vision Partners, and we are part of the Retinal Research Institute brand that sits within Retinal Consultants of Arizona. So we're kind of a piece of everything. We joined with American Vision Partners just a little over a year ago now, and it's been a great partnership. With that, we are kind of on a cusp of growth. So really working with the other research departments within American Vision Partners has been great. And I just have to take a moment, Dr. Reichardt, thank you so much for sharing your story. What an advocate and an inspiration. Like how great and how what a blessing it was for your daughter. It is for your daughter to be such an advocate. And I think not only for her, but for other people. I mean, what an inspiration, you know, to not, I think personally being in ophthalmology for so many years, I've seen so many families come through, and not everybody is willing to put that, you know, put forth the extra effort in figuring out what's going on. And so thank you on behalf of everyone. Thank you. I think that's fantastic. So, so with our department, so American Vision Partners is all over, and Dara, please correct me if I'm wrong. We are in Arizona, New Mexico, Las Vegas, California, and Texas, I believe. We have, so Dara, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but we have several practices. So some of the bigger names that you all may know are Barnett Delaney Perkins, Southwest Eye Center, and then I'm with Retinal Consultants of Arizona. I worked very closely for many years with Dr. Dougal. Dr. Barakat, Mark Barakat, is currently the Physician Research Director for Retinal Research Institute. And this is probably the most exciting thing I've done in all of my years in ophthalmology, is being part of research. I have learned so much this past year, and what an inspiration the patients are. I love to go down in clinic and chat with the patients as they come in, because they're volunteering for a trial. We don't know if, you know, we don't know what the status is going to be. We don't know the outcome. And so you get to meet these families, some of them have such great support systems, and that's fantastic. Super exciting to be a part of research. We currently have 17 enrolling studies. 2 of those are genetic trials. One of them is currently on an enrollment hold for our side, and it's with the company Reneuron. They have a genetic study going on for retinitis pigmentosa. Our other genetic study is with Iveric Bio. It's Optotech 2005, and it is for Stargardt's. So as research manager the past year, what we've been looking at is how can we grow? How can we be available to more patients, and how do we get, additional studies within the practice to be able to support families? And let's see what we can do here in within our practice. So being with American Vision Partners just opens the doors wider outside of Arizona, which is very exciting. And Dr. Reichardt, our personal physician director, and the other brands have their physician directors as well, is probably one of the most exciting physicians I've worked with. He has more energy than I do and works, 10 times harder. We tease each other about, who's not going to answer their phone when they're at home with their families, because we're both pretty much on, just because we're both very excited about being part of the research. So, and I definitely would like to open up, let's, have an open conversation. If anybody has any questions, please just jump off mute, and I'm happy to answer anything for anyone. And Dara, I know you're on here, but if I missed anything, please let me know.
No, you did awesome. Thank you so much. We are so happy at American Vision Partners to have retinal consultants as part of our family.
Yeah, I think such a great, fantastic thing for us to all join together, bringing platforms of not just retina care, but just, general ophthalmology and everyone's passion for, restoring sight and, educating everyone. I think that's one of the great things about American Vision Partners that I've really felt coming on board and joining them, is that every person I've encountered, from higher up administration to the staff that are doing the front lines, they all have the same vision, and it's, to help the patients that are coming through the doors. So I think that's been really fantastic, and I've enjoyed, becoming part of that bigger team.
Artemis has a question, and it is, can you talk more about the Stargardt's research you mentioned that your practice is working on?
Yes, so the Stargardt's, we are working with the company. So our site performs the study for the sponsor. And so we currently have an active enrolling study. The company is Iveric Bio. The study is OPH 2005, and it is for Stargardt's. It is an injection in the office, and you are seen on a monthly basis. Patients do have to go through, meet certain inclusion exclusion criteria, which we screen for. There's also genetic testing, because there are genetic markers that you have to meet to qualify. But again, if anyone is interested, you can visit our website, Retinal Consultants of Arizona. We have a specific, very new, actually just this month we launched. We have a research site. It has lists all of our active enrolling research studies along with our contact information. So please feel free to reach out. Even if, I always encourage patients, even if it's not something that you qualify for now, we keep your information in the database. So when we have a study that does open up for patients, if sometimes with these genetic studies, limited enrollment, because they're looking for that specific patient for enrollment. And so, but we encourage patients, if you know someone, if you're someone that is interested in participating in that research study or in any research trial, come in, give us a call, let's get your information, because even if you don't qualify or the patient doesn't qualify, that doesn't mean that we don't have something coming up in the future. Our physicians work, Dr. Reichardt, as a matter of fact, is kind of flying all over this weekend, giving different talks. And so the physicians also, if they know of a patient, they're going to reach out to another site if they know. So even if we may not have something, one of our, sister companies may. So just because we don't have a study doesn't mean that Barnett Delaney Perkins or Southwest Eye or, M&M, we have all of these options. So please reach out to us.
There's another question. Rhonda asked, can you discuss the research you all are doing on RP?
So we currently have a study. Again, we are just the site that performs the study so we have the patients see us, and then the physicians kind of follow the study protocols is how that works. And so the company is with Reneuron. We are a site who have about 5 patients enrolled in that study. And we are currently not open for enrollment. But again, if it's, and so that is a surgical procedure. So they're going in and surgically administering, some gene therapy treatment for retinitis pigmentosa. Again, specific inclusion/exclusion qualifications, you have to be tested genetically to have that specific gene marker that they're looking for. But again, if you're interested, if you have other questions, please reach out. Again, our information is on our website on how to contact us. But definitely, if we are happy to do the genetic testing, see where you are, and then keep you in the database if something doesn't qualify or work out. And again, we are not actively enrolling, but that doesn't mean that you wouldn't be able to enroll if you qualified, that you wouldn't be able to enroll in another site. So there's a lot of things going on with research that makes it available. Like Dr. Reichardt's story, you may not have to travel, but if you have that opportunity, if there's just a small chance, I know that sometimes even the travel it's worth it.
This is Michelle Goldfarb Shapiro. I have a quick question. So for both of the studies that you mentioned, one on Stargardt's and one on RP, do you happen to know the gene mutations for both of them that you're focusing on for the studies?
I do not. I do not.
I know that's
I do not. But on our links on our website, absolutely, we have all of that information. Even if you set up a call, we're happy to get that information. I know that Phi, you may even know about the Reneuron study a little bit more in the gene that they're looking for than I do.
I think I posted, if you could check in the chat, I believe I found your
before.
I posted the link to the website, and what we can do is we can send it all out later. So Perfect. If anyone has specific questions about those gene variants, that information will be found there. And actually, I have another question. This is Michelle again. Unless Phi, I know I thought I heard your voice. So if you have a question, by all means, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was going to look to see if I can find that. Okay.
So Michelle, do you happen to know if there's any future studies that you all have on your horizon? And if so, what IRDs they're going to be focused around?
Currently, we actually just had our committee meeting, and that was one of the conversations we have. So the way that our site works is sponsors normally contact us, or we reach out to sponsors for studies. We are actually in a growth moment, and so we're just trying, new with American Vision Partners, new with kind of our growing our department of research. But genetic studies are, definitely on our horizon. We just don't have anything right now. So I don't have any new upcoming studies on the list for, inherited disease right now. But with eyes, I've been in this business for, over 24 years, and it is changing all of the time. And again, just because we may not have a study, we work with so many different companies. And so always happy to be that bridge of support for a patient. If they are interested in something, we're happy to, find a sponsor and a site for you, which we've done with many of our patients. We may not have an active enrolling study. I personally can tell you that I don't have anything in the next 3 to 6 months coming up. That usually is about our startup time for studies. It takes us about 3 months to get things started up. And then we go through enrollment periods. And, with Reneuron, they're actually a phase 1 study, phase 1 early, phase 2. They could open up cohorts, and so different phases throughout their study. And so as they do, we may have more opportunity to enroll patients. But currently, the 2 studies that we have are the only thing that we have for the next 3 to 6 months. But that could change next week.
Yeah.
It's usually how quickly things change.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just took a note here to get we'll send out some additional information about that RP study with Reneuron. I believe I have some information, but I don't want to be incorrect about it. So I'd rather just we'll look into a little bit more, and then we'll share out the correct information, because it's been a couple months since I think I've talked with folks about it. That's great. Very exciting. And congratulations on your new role too, Michelle.
Thank you.
Yeah. And if you could just double check the link I put in the chat, if that's the correct website for your research institute. And I just want to make sure we have the correct information out there for everybody.
Yes, that is the correct one. Thank you so much.
All right. You're welcome. Good questions. A lot of exciting things happening, I would say. With American Vision Partners, Retina Consultants of Arizona, and we're definitely very excited to partner with you, along obviously with Dr. Bacall's office as well too. I think we've got a lot of exciting things happening here in Arizona. So like you said, Michelle, more to come, right?
Yes. And we are so excited to just be a part of all of this. I know Dara historically has been a part with American Vision Partners. Myself and Darcy Emsch have partnered with you guys before with, brand specific. And what a great thing, and what a great, foundation. We are always very proud to be a part of it and happy to help in any way possible.
Yeah. Thank you. And I think that's a great actually segue into our next portion of our agenda, which is talking about the Vision Walk. So I'm going to turn over to Michelle, and she's going to share a little bit about our kickoff here in Arizona, things that are happening, partners, and so forth. So Michelle, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Phi. And thank you so much, Dr. Reichardt and Michelle. Thank you both for speaking. We really appreciate it. So I am about to share my screen with you all. And it's not giving me an option. One moment, apologize. I have it ready and okay. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Great. I will start the presentation. Okay. Can you all still see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. Welcome, everyone. I just am so grateful to be able to be a part of today's chapter presentation. And I'm going to share a little bit about the Arizona Virtual Vision Walk kickoff. And what I would like to do is, if possible, if we could save our questions till the end, and I will be more than happy to answer them. So at the end, if you think of something or along the way, please add them to the chat box, or if you'd like to just chime in at the end, I will answer any questions. So,
Michelle,
yes.
Excuse me, it's Renee. If on your screen, there's a box that's covering part of your presentation.
Thank you. Sorry, it's only showing up on one of my screens and I wasn't looking at that screen. Okay. Is it gone now?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So, as I mentioned, my name is Michelle Goldfarb-Shapiro, and I'm the Director of Events for the West Region. And I am very excited to work with you all on the Vision Walk and any type of event that will be taking place in Arizona. So if you need anything events related and or foundation related, I am more than happy to help you. And I can share my information at the end, but you can call or email me, and I would be happy to speak with you and or chat and get to know you all. So before we get started on a few pieces of the Vision Walk, I am extremely excited to share that we will be having a silent auction portion for fundraising for the Vision Walk. And we have on the volunteer side, Sarah Williams, who will be our auction chair, and on the staff side, Kimmy, who will be spearheading the silent auction. So if you happen to, or you or someone you know, may have an item or items you would like to donate to the silent auction, please contact Kimmy or Sarah. The silent auction will be online through a platform called One Cause that was formerly known as BidPal, and it will go live early June. So our goal is to have it go live within at least 1 week prior to the Vision Walk, so that way everyone will be able to bid on items. And the other piece I'd like to share is the silent auction is open to anyone. So they don't have to be involved in the Vision Walk, but if you happen to know someone who may like one of the items, by all means, they're welcome to bid. So a few things regarding the silent auction items. We're going to focus them mostly in Arizona, but hopefully we can get some vacation items and or packages for trips that are in neighboring states. And then if anyone does have alcohol, we ask that it is in Arizona. So it's easy to transport that to someone else. So moving to the virtual Vision Walk, I am so excited to share with you all that you have reached and exceeded the $1 million club. So we have many Vision Walks that have taken place around the country, and you all have raised, not including this year, over $1 million. You've raised $1,037,528 since you all have been started the Vision Walk, which is absolutely incredible. So I'd like to give you all a little round of applause. That is amazing. And you all are doing an absolutely fantastic job thus far for this year. In fact, this year's goal is $90,000, and you all have raised already $40,931 as of this morning when I checked. So that's incredible. I know timing wise, this Vision Walk is much later than when you all normally have it. But I really appreciate everyone's coming together and supporting the cause. And I am very positive that we will exceed our goal. So my challenge to you all is, after this meeting, and I'll get into some more details, you reach out to your community and you engage them in the walk in some capacity, and I will share those in the upcoming slides. Okay, so what to do advance for the walk? There are a few things, and I'm going to go over them in order that I think is the best way to go about it. First is register you and your team online, and you can do so. I'll read the address out. It's give.fightingblindness.org/Arizona Vision Walk. Once you have your page and you're all set, then I would set an ambitious fundraising goal. I understand we are still in the middle of the pandemic, and our goal for us is to have you participate. Fundraising is an added bonus. If you're able to, we'd love for you to fundraise. If not, we completely understand. And everyone has fundraising goals that work best for themselves. Next, we'd love for you to personalize your Vision Walk page and share your story. This is a great way for people to learn a bit more about you and why you are walking. Whether it's you're walking for a family member, for yourself, a friend, a colleague, etc. Next, I would tell everyone you know. Help spread awareness and recruit others. And in the process, I've often heard from our members that when they reach out to their community, as I like to call it, that I'll touch on in a second, they often have other people in their community that may be affected as well. So not only are you reaching out to others to get them involved, you could also be helping them and or creating that additional connection. Another way things you can do in advance of the walk is to host a personal fundraiser. Now, this can be anything from a raffle of sorts. We have some members who do cookie jar mixes and get all the ingredients donated. So all the dry ingredients for, say, chocolate chip cookies, they put them in a jar and then they have a recommended donation. And then we have some members who, one team in San Diego, one of the family members quilts. So they make this beautiful quilt and people buy raffle tickets and then one person wins the quilt at the end. So there's many ways to do fundraisers. I'm happy to talk to you about them more. With restaurants opening up, I know that you can have a restaurant fundraiser, a bake sale, car wash. The possibilities are absolutely endless. And lastly, fundraise with sponsorships. So if you happen to know of a company that may be interested in supporting the walk, that is a great way to get a larger donation. And with any sponsorship, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. We have a specific sponsorship form, and there are many benefits and perks that go along with our different sponsorship levels. So as I mentioned before, get your community involved. Now, some might ask, what encompasses your community? And I like to think of it as an eye. So on the slide in front of me, there is a visual picture of an eye, and it has 3 different layers. The outer layer is gray. Then there is, correct me, I think the correct term is iris, and that is blue. And then in the middle is a pupil, and that is black. So I'm going to start with the pupil. And in each of these 3 layers that I just mentioned, there are words that correspond to people in your community. So the pupil is black, and that says you. So you're the center of your community. The next layer, which is the iris, and this is blue. So this person or this picture has a blue eye. There are 4 different categories: family, neighbors, friends, and employer. So that's the next closest group of individuals around you that you can potentially reach out to get your community involved. And on the very outer layer, which is gray, there are people in your community, but you may not speak to them as much. It may be your doctor, place of worship, mechanic, salon, daycare, dry cleaner, civic group, school, just to name a few. And those are places, for example, if you have an ophthalmologist you see locally, and you might want to ask them if they would like to participate in the walk, or if you can share some flyers with them, whatever that may entail. If you go get your hair done and you'd like to, again, share some flyers or would like them to get involved, etc. If there's anything you need on our end, flyer-wise or foundation material-wise, we're happy to share them with you. But it is a wonderful way to bring awareness for what the foundation is doing and share about the Vision Walk, because my motto is, it never hurts to ask. You'd be really surprised by how people react when you encourage them to get involved. So I would encourage you all to get your community involved in whatever level that you feel comfortable with. So we have some wonderful Vision Walk tools available to you all, and we can share them with you again after this meeting. So we have 2 packets that I would say are key. The first is the virtual Vision Walk toolkit, excuse me. And this toolkit has everything under the sun for an individual to have a successful team. It includes fundraising ideas, sample fundraising letters and emails, social media tips, and sample posts. We also have a Vision Walk Team Captain packet, and that includes everything one needs to know to lead a team. And so we can send those to you so you have that at your fingertips. And I, myself and or Kimmy, are always available to talk with you about the Vision Walk, answer any questions you may have, go through this information with you. We are resources to you. Next, I'd like to share, and you all have used our newer Vision Walk website, which I believe last year in 2020 was the first year you all were able to use it. It's from the platform site Classy. And on this page is an image of from left to right, I believe is at the 2020 walk, of Phi in his Phi's Eyes t-shirt with a, I'm not sure the team, but excuse me, a bear mascot next to him. Then someone holding a declaration, a man holding a declaration, and then Patty is standing next to the man holding the declaration, and on the far right is another bear mascot, but I'm sorry, I have no idea what teams they're from. So actually, out of curiosity, what teams are they from?
So that's on next to me is the Phoenix College Bear.
Okay.
So one of our community colleges. And then next to Patty is Howler, and he is the mascot for the Coyotes, our National Hockey League team.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So, as I mentioned earlier, the website to register is give.fightingblindness.org/Arizona Vision Walk. So I am actually going to minimize. You all can still see this, correct? Can you all can
Yes.
still see the PowerPoint?
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Okay, so now I'm going to go through a bit about the website to help you all navigate it. So one moment, I just have. Okay, do you still see the PowerPoint or do you see my notes?
PowerPoint.
Great, thank you. Okay, so first I would like to touch, as I mentioned, that in 2020, this is the first year that we've used this new website. So it's a bit, I would say, it's a growth process, but we are available to help you. So the platform that we use for Vision Walk is named Classy. And one thing I would like to share with you all is they made a huge upgrade about 6 months ago and added voiceover accessibility to their site. This is extremely important to us because this is something we advocated for over a year, and we were very excited to have this come to fruition. The site has already been updated for JAWS and desktop screen readers prior to the voiceover functionality. The company is working toward full accessibility compliance with our support. And as always, if you are experiencing any accessibility concerns with your site, please contact me or even reach out. Please contact me or anyone else in my team, and we will be more than happy to bring any concerns to our Classy support team. This is extremely important to us, so please don't hesitate to reach out. And if you could be specific with any issues, and then we forward them on to the platform. So the first question we get is, how do I access my page? Either team or individual. So if you are a returning Vision Walker, you can use the same email as you have in the past, and you click the login in the upper right-hand corner once you have registered for this year's walk. This will give you access right away to your pages for personalization. If you are a new walker or have changed your email address, you should receive an email asking you to claim your fundraising page after you have registered. By claiming your page, it will take you through steps to set up a password. Now, sometimes the email gets caught in your spam or junk folders. I just want you to be aware of that. If you have checked those places and still don't have it there are two options. One is you go to the page and you click login, and then you have forgotten your password, and they'll send you a new one so you can get it reset. The other is for you to contact myself or Kimmy, and we can get it reset on our end. The second question is, how do you personalize your team and or individual page? If you are a team captain, the button will also appear on your team page. By clicking on this button in the upper right of your screen, you can add a photo, update your story, do blog post style updates, see lists of your donors and post thank yous, get sample messaging to start your outreach, and modify your details like your goal and your direct website, or vanity URL as it's called. So the vanity URL is, for example, if I had a team, and it would be at Michelle's team, and that way I can send that individual link To anyone I would like to join our team and or would be interested in donating, and then it goes straight to the page without people having to navigate. And I find that to be extremely helpful. And if you have questions on how to do that, we are happy to help you. Once you've made and saved your edits, you can exit the manage feature by clicking the view button on the upper right where manage had been. One note on the vanity URLs that I would like to share. If someone is already using the URL you want, try adding the year to the end of it or coming up with something similar. If you think the issue is that you used the same one last year, let me or Kimmy know, and we can take care of it on our end. Now, another question we get is, how does one send thank yous with our new Vision Walk site? I am under the understanding that on the last platform, we were able to send thank yous through the platform. With this one, we are not able to do that because what ended up happening is people's thank yous were getting sent to the spam folder, and then people didn't know they were getting thank you messages. So in this platform, there is an activity on your team or personal page where you are able to, that's like a news feed on Facebook, and you can comment on the activity either through the front end of your page or on the management side of the site that will post you a thank you message in the feed publicly, and it will email the comment to the supporter. So for example, if I donated to Phi's team and he said, thank you, Michelle, then I would receive an email with the comment from Phi as well as it being posted on the page. When viewing your donations in the manage section, each gift will have a thank button next to it. You can click on that and it will open up a commentary entry field where you can free type the text you would like to use. Then you click the comment button underneath the text to post the comment and notify the donor by email. Lastly, the final question. So as I mentioned, you cannot send thank yous through there. You can make comments that people then get an email. The other option is there is a section of the platform where they have thank you messages that are created, and then you can copy and paste them into the email to thank your donors and or team members. The final question is we often get is about sending emails. And as I just mentioned, the previous system included a built-in tool for us to send emails through the platform, and this one does not. So as I talked about, they have some sample templates. If you don't like any of those and are interested in some others, we are happy to work with you on crafting something that you can send to your donors and or team members. And we actually have found, as I mentioned, that with individuals sending a thank you email individually, it actually goes to their inbox. So the person who made that donation is able to see it and read it as opposed to it going to their spam. So next, I just wanted to say, I understand it's a new learning curve with this platform. We are always available to assist you. And if you have any further questions, please email me if I am not able to answer them momentarily. So next, there's some beautiful photos from our vision walks around the country, but mostly in Arizona. And I'll go from left to right. First row is Patty and her family cutting the ribbon. The second picture to the right is an individual with the kids bingo from one of our previous vision walks. The picture in the middle is 4 folks posing for a photo recently for Vision Walk Strong. From a team, the 4th photo from the left is the photo I described earlier. That is our homepage for the Vision Walk with 5, the 2 bear mascots, an individual from the city, and Patty. The photo on the far right is a small, really cute kid running after a duck in a park, presumably at one of the walks. Now on the bottom left is one of the bear mascots from their hockey team, waving. The second photo from the left is some of the team members from Phi's Eyes. I'm assuming including some of you're holding your niece Phi, who looks adorable. I'm assuming it's your niece. I could be wrong.
Yep. That's my immediate family.
And then the middle photo, or the next photo, third from the left over, is a woman with an Arizona vest on, walking during the vision walk. The next photo to the right is a team putting their arms in the air in solidarity.
That's American Vision Partners team.
Oh, thank you. I honestly can't read the shirts. It's too small. Thank you, Dara.
Yay.
So it's Team American Vision Partners. And the next photo over is members of Team Ashley. I believe that's their immediate family. And then the photo on the far right is an individual, a young girl who has a face painting from one of the last walks we did in person. So I really appreciate you all for joining me in this portion of the Arizona Virtual Vision Walk kickoff presentation and for supporting the foundation. It means so much to me. And now I will take questions from you all. Please don't hesitate. There's no question in my mind is stupid. Anything goes.
I'm seeing Ashlyn on Dr. Reichardt's screen. I think first time I've seen her.
There
Now
she
I
is.
can, mommy.
What?
Now
Oh, I think she went on mute.
Hi.
Say hi.
Hi.
Hi, hi, Ashlyn.
You gonna show me your
Hi,
water slide?
Daddy.
Oh, that's, say hi, Fi.
Hi.
Hi.
Is she enjoying the water slide? Oh, wow. That's a really, really fun looking water slide. So does anyone have any Vision Walk related questions that I can answer for you?
I did want to say, I think too, Michelle, that Dr. Reichardt is our medical chair this year, right? For the Vision Walk?
Yes. Oh, thank you. Yes, Dr. Reichardt, we are very thrilled to have her as our medical chair for this year and are honored for her to join us for the walk. So we thank you very, very much, as Fi mentioned. And it's a little different with it being virtual, but we are still extremely grateful for your involvement.
Absolutely.
Yes.
My pleasure. There she goes. Let's see if I can get her.
That is a beautiful water slide.
Isn't that fun? It was one of our pandemic purchases to keep them
Nice.
excited during the pandemic. Yes, here she goes, maybe. I don't know how to unmute it here. Uh-oh.
I like the palm trees and all the colors.
Is that
And
adult?
apparently
That
it's not wet right there, so she's stuck right down.
Oh, no.
I don't know. That's what happens when I'm on the call and she's water sliding with Daddy. Are you gonna go in the water? There you go.
There you go.
Yep, very fun.
Oh,
Very fun.
that sounds like you have a little backyard retreat.
Oh, it is a retreat for sure.
I think I might need one of those in my backyard too, but I might end up squishing the whole thing down. So.
I have
Very
a
cool.
question about the Vision Walk.
Yes.
Maybe a silly question. How is everyone getting their teams involved virtually? I think that's one of the big questions that I've heard from people within our practice.
I think that's Michelle speaking. I apologize. Correct?
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
I will start off with what I've heard and then I'll open it up to how everyone's doing things. So locally, what I've heard from other fellow vision walkers is they've encouraged folks on the day of, obviously it's going to be really warm, so I'd recommend maybe earlier on so there's no issues with the heat. Encouraging folks to walk the day of, whether it's together or separate. If you all want to get together at a park and walk and send photos, or if together, or if you want to do something separate, encourage, like on say May 15th, let's all walk in honor of the Vision Walk. And I know like some teams here have done something more specific. Team Ashley did a grab and go event. So they did something at the end of February where they had offered like some light refreshments, and then they had everyone at their own time walk throughout their adult active community. I am not going to put Fi on the spot, but I am going to put Fi on the spot to talk about what he is doing with his team to give you a better idea as well.
Yeah, so what I'm going to do with my Five Eyes team is we're going to do I'm calling it a socially distanced walk along the canal. So where I live is about 7th Street and Northern area, and there's a canal kind of by where I live that I often go and walk and run on. So we're going to be on the canal on May 1st, on the morning of May 1st. And then I'm just asking people like sign up on the team. Like this hopefully encourages them to sign up on the team. So sign up on the team, come join me if you're here in Phoenix. If not, then go walk virtually somewhere too at the same time. And people are just going to show up. We are going to have I'm not going to have like a ceremony or anything like that. It's just come, walk on the canal, get some exercise. And then I've got like some snack packs or some goodies and that kind of stuff. My nephew designed a sticker for me. So he's like 10 years old. I'm going to do a little Uncle Brag moment here and kind of share with you what he did. So I actually had these printed off and should be getting these here in the next few days. But if you kind of see in the upper corner of my screen here, oops, I'll hide it. So he made that kind of sticker there for me. So I had some of those printed off and I'm kind of giving away and that kind of stuff. So that's what we're going to do, Michelle. Something that I had actually heard too, that I heard from on the national kickoff was like somebody at one of the chapters, or I'm sorry, at one of the companies, like they're doing kind of an interdepartmental challenge, like which department within their company can raise more funds, which I thought was kind of fun too. So maybe that's something you can do within American Vision Partners. Maybe have like different companies within AVP, like which Barnett Delaney versus Retina Consultants of America versus Southwest and versus like AVP kind of corporate, like which team can raise the most money kind of thing, or have the most people sign up on the website. I know last year AVP, I think you guys came in number 2 as far as like the number of people on your walk team. So definitely would love to see that number plus more from AVP this year.
Yeah, those are some really great ideas. Thank you. And I'm glad I asked my question.
Yeah, not a dumb question at all. Something else I'm also working on is maybe doing like a virtual wine tasting, and then having like a fundraising from that perspective. My sister does origami owl. So she has designed a pendant that I'll put out and we'll sell. She's going to donate all of her proceeds towards the walk team as well. So just trying to think of different ways to like get people engaged, wanting to join, knowing that June 12th is a kind of a warm day here in Arizona. So that's why we're going to do something on May 1st, just a little bit earlier, just some of the fun things. So I think the sky's the limit as far as like doing some fun things. But I would love to see like a little inter-company challenge within AVP. I think that could be kind of fun.
That could be fun. Dara, are you still on here? I think that could be really fun.
I see her nodding.
I see her screen. I think she just unmuted herself. And we can talk to you more about this offline and help you with whatever you need. And if you're going to do something large, please let us know and we can try to send something your way.
Sure, I appreciate that. Definitely just I know, all things virtual that we've all had to deal with and learn to adapt with this last year, but just trying to see how we can, best engage everyone this year for the virtual walk.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think one of the things coming out, Michelle, if I'm not mistaken, here's something else that's happening is there are 20 walks as part of this spring FFB Vision Walk. And what has happened is we are in a fierce competition against three other chapters for what they're going to call the Walking Shoes Challenge.
Yes.
And there's different components of that. And of course, I think those of you guys who know me, I'm slightly competitive. So I would love for Arizona to win this walking shoe challenge against these other, I don't remember exactly which other walks it is, but it's based upon how we did last year. It compares our, the number of people that we had signed up for the walk compared to like how much we raised and different items. So we definitely want to get more people signed up to join our teams and that kind of stuff to participate, because we definitely want to win the Walking Shoes Challenge.
And on that note, Fi, thank you so much for bringing that up. So I would say the two things that can get you all to win is registering and fundraising. Now, it's as Fi mentioned, it's comparing to how you all did last year. So, and luckily you all were able to host your last event in person last year. But I'm trying to pull up the document that shares who your competitors are, but my computer is being slightly slow. So, okay. It's loading, so I will tell you momentarily. You all are in a group with Baltimore, Orlando, and the Triangle. So as of, I am sorry to say, we are not in first place as of Friday, but we still have 2 months, so we have time.
We have time. Nice. What's the Triangle? What is that like Washington, DC or?
It's
Raleigh. This is Renee Paulsell.
Thank you, Renee.
Kind of the Raleigh area.
Raleigh, Durham. Got it. Okay.
Yep.
Got it. All right. So we have a challenge ahead of us, Arizona folks.
And on that challenge note as well, we have a few other upcoming challenges for you all. You'll be getting some emails. So I just encourage you all to participate. There's some the next challenge we're offering you, whoever the winner is, will get their name on the back of the Vision Walk t-shirts, which is awesome. And then we have some small gift cards as well. So highly encourage you all, and thank you very much for joining. That's everything I have on my end.
Nice. Well, thank you. Thank you, Michelle. If there's other questions, go ahead and add those to the chat, or we can answer those as well. We just have a couple more things left on our agenda, and make sure we have time for that. So let me just pull up my agenda here. Yep, the next thing we have is I'd love to introduce Rhonda Carroll to everybody. Rhonda has been involved with our chapter for a few years and really came on with an interest in diversity and inclusion. And so Rhonda has spearheaded our efforts within our own chapter. And I think the exciting part of that is, as you heard earlier from Renee, there is kind of that new revamp of the chapters with different positions and things like that. There's actually a diversity and inclusion chair that can be added to all the different chapters. And it was because of, Rhonda coming forward and saying, hey, I'm interested in this in our Arizona chapter, had a chance to talk with Renee about it. And now this is one of the positions that is being created across all chapters. So it really is as a result of Rhonda. So thank you for that, Rhonda, for you coming forward and, spearheading our effort with diversity and inclusion. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Rhonda to give us a few updates within that.
Oh, thank you, Fi, and thank you everybody for having me. I love FFB, and we do such wonderful work. And just being here today, hearing all the inspiration and the hope, there's wonderful things on the horizon. So I just wanted to briefly talk about some of the things we've been doing in the area of diversity and inclusion. One of the things is that we're working on a diversity and an inclusion statement for the Arizona chapter. And hopefully this can be a model for the whole foundation. I've been working on that with Michelle and Dara, and they've been it's a wonderful job. And I think that it's really inclusive. It really reflects, we're in the final stages, and I think it really reflects our values, our goals to being an inclusive organization that values everyone. And so I'm so excited to have that statement out. Hopefully it'll be revealed in the next coming weeks. So I'm really looking forward to that. And I'm just grateful that we had such a wonderful team working on it. And then the next thing we had was the Black History presentation in February. It was Black History Month, and it was a really fun, informative learning experience. It had good attendance, and I do believe in participation, and we were able to learn about some people we already knew, maybe some interesting facts about them. And also we were able to be introduced to people that we may not necessarily know, but who are doing great work in diversity and inclusion. For example, our own Dr. Amy Lester, we included her in the presentation as well. So I hope everybody enjoyed themselves and learned something new. And let's see here. And for upcoming events, dealing with diversity and inclusion, I was going to ask Fi if he could please hand out my email for any particular topics, concerns, or issues, or speakers that you would like to have. I think it would be wonderful, and I'm open to any suggestions on an upcoming event regarding diversity and inclusion, and also how we can incorporate it into our vision walk. I think that would be really wonderful. Let's see. And I also wanted to just take one moment on the agenda. It's recognizing the Asian American Pacific Islander community. And I just wanted to take one moment, and I guess I'll have to read it here to give a quote, and then also to take a moment of silence. So before we do that, let me just say this quick word here. We express support for the AAPI community. We stand united against hate, racism, and violence in all forms and manifestations. As one person once said, for evil to flourish, it only requires good men and women to say nothing. And that's a quote from Mr. Simon Wiesenthal. I would just like to take a moment to give a moment of silence and remembrance to honor the Asian Pacific Islanders community and standing with them in honoring and remembering the Atlanta shooting victims on March 16th, 2021. I have a timer here that I'd like to start, and it's a moment of silence, and there's gonna be just a bell when it's over. So if we could just maybe take our time in our own way to give a moment to remember. And I'm gonna start that let me see, right now. I'd like to thank everyone for participating in the moment of silence. And also, I just have one thing. As we're all going to be doing our vision walk kind of individually and on our own or in small groups, I just wanted to direct us for more information about safety tips for walking. It says here, information on safety tips for those experiencing or witnessing hate crimes. Go to stopaapihate.org for just some safety tips that we can all use on our vision walk. I don't know if there's any questions regarding that at all. Oh, any questions?
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you for that, Rhonda.
You're welcome. It's just, oh, sorry. Let me stop this alarm altogether there. So yes, so transition to the next topic. Karen Hughes is from the Arizona Council for the Blind. She's their community relations director and chairperson for their upcoming local convention. And I just invited her to say a couple of words about the convention in an effort to build our community. And like I said, she's a great advocate and she's been with that organization for many years. So I believe she is on the line. So Karen, it's all yours. Or she's on the Zoom.
Is her number?
No, actually, this is Karen. So thank you, Rhonda and Fi and everyone. I'm so glad I have this opportunity to speak with you all at this meeting. I'm really glad to be here, and such amazing stories and information. So a couple things. First of all, I've been involved with Vision Walk in the past through the Foundation for Fighting Blindness. I actually, not only do I know Rhonda, but I know Jackie Olson, who's here in this meeting. I've been on the Guide Dog Users Board with her and found out about Vision Walk through her and through the American Council for the Blind through our Arizona chapter. And so yeah, I really enjoyed that. And I think I'm going to participate and be part of that virtual Vision Walk again this year with you all. And like Rhonda said, I am the chair person for the Public Relations Committee for our the Arizona chapter of the American Council of the Blind. And we are having our convention. It's actually next weekend, the April 16th and 17th. And we're going to have, several presentations. Then we're going to have our keynote speaker is going to be Joel Schneider, who is the director of our audio description project. He works on the national level in the American Council. And he's going to be our keynote on Friday. And then we're going to have a presentation on focus on fitness. So we're going to have Mike Armstrong, who has, he has his own gym and he's an instructor, teaches martial arts, and he has hiked the Grand Canyon many times. Just really, a great athlete and very active in the community. And then like entertainment on Friday night. And then on Saturday, we're gonna have other presentations, technology, learning, various iPhone apps and Android apps, ones that, are accessible to those of us whom are blind and visually impaired. And then I'm gonna be on a panel with two other people talking about tips and tricks in the kitchen, and like things to help with independence and, daily living and safety. And so it's going to be a really good convention. We hope that some of you could join us. And I can give the website. It's azcb.org/reservation. So that's AZ for like Arizona, C as in council, B as in blind.org/registration. And the last day to register is Monday, April 12th, like till the end of the day on Monday. And we'd love to have some of you join us. As some of you may know, in the American Council of the Blind, it's a national nonprofit organization similar to NFB, and there are many members who have RP and Leber's and macular degeneration and other genetic types of eye conditions. And like I said, I'm blind myself. I do not have a genetic eye condition, but I have had numerous of surgeries and a lot of retinal issues over the years. So I can really identify to some of people's stories as far as vision loss and gaining sight and losing sight and that kind of thing. So if anybody has any questions for me, whether it be about just me presenting here or the convention or anything else, you can ask me here, or people can get in touch with me as well if you would like. And then I would love to be part of this community and chapter. It's wonderful. I just learned a lot today, a lot of great information, and I thank you for having me here.
Thank you, Karen. And could you tell us again with the days of the conference?
Yes, it's Friday, April 16th and Saturday, April 17th. And it's starting the convention will start at 3:30 Eastern. So I don't know, is everybody here in Arizona? I'm not sure. So it's gonna start 12:30 Arizona time and go to like 7 or 8 on Friday. And then on Saturday, we're gonna have a hospitality in the morning before presentations. So starting at 7 a.m. on Saturday, we're gonna have a hospitality room and then start the presentations at 9 a.m. And of course, this is all virtual. It's gonna be on Zoom and also on ACB radio. People can listen through, using their computer, through their, their smart devices, whether it be a smartphone or Amazon Echo. And there's also a telephone line that people can call in to listen if they don't have technology or, intimidated by it or what have you. It's all about inclusion, and you don't have to be a member of ACB to attend, or, it's for anybody that's interested.
Oh, thank you. I posted the links in our chat, Karen.
Fantastic.
Registration and also the conference as well too. So definitely encourage folks to sign up for that. I'm going to go and sign up as well. And what's awesome is like Mike was one of our guest speakers a while back, a couple of years ago. I know Patty Wolverton's good friends with Mike. Is Mike Armstrong. He came and shared his story a couple of years ago at one of our meetings. It is, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. And that's awesome. I'm glad you've participated in the past walks, and hopefully you'll join us again this year.
I think I will. Yeah, I participated in Vision Walk 2 consecutive years back in 2015 and 16, and my former employer helped raise funds with me as well, and I had my own team, and we walked over at Still Indian School Park here in Phoenix.
Yes. Very nice. And you mentioned Jackie Olson as well. We all love Jackie, so she's on the call as well.
I know. Yep, I saw that. Yep.
Yes. Nice. All right. Well, if anyone has any other questions for Karen or the Arizona American Council of the Blind Arizona Conference, feel free to type that into the chat. I'm gonna wrap us up here. We've been meeting for a while, so thank you guys for sticking with us. I'm just now putting a link into the chat, which is kind of like a survey. So when we would meet in person, we do like the little paper surveys and that kind of stuff. So if you guys could open that link, and I'm just gonna share kind of some wrap up stuff as you're filling that out, and just if you could complete that and send it back to us. I am very curious to see how accessible this form is. So if anyone's using like a screen reader or something like that, let me know how well this form works. I want to make sure that it is accessible. I'm using Google Forms. So if that's not a good accessible platform, then I'll look into something else. But anyway, so just wanted to share with some of the things happening within our chapter the past few months. We started a monthly networking session in September and have been able to continue those every month. We've had some really interesting guest speakers come in, and just an opportunity to talk as a community as well too, share stories. I think that's a great part of that. As I mentioned, those are monthly. This meeting kind of serves as both that and our chapter meeting. So we won't have one in April. We'll have one, our next one in May. So keep an eye out for the date of that, and then also our guest speaker as well. I also wanted to share, as Renee mentioned, there have been some national webinars, and I hope you guys hope you've been getting the emails about that. If not, then we'll make sure you're added to that. But this has been a great opportunity for us to open up, like these chapter meetings, some topics and that kind of stuff, speakers on a national level. So our next national webinar is going to take place on May 22nd, and the topic is clinical trials. And that session will start at 9 a.m. Phoenix time, and registration will come out in mid-April. So probably sometime in the next 2 weeks, you'll get an email to register for that May 22nd national webinar on clinical trials. And those webinars happen every 2 months. So the one after May will take place in July, on July 17th, and that is centered around low vision. And again, that will also be at 9 a.m. So be on the lookout. You'll get invited to just click on a link, register yourself, and then it'll send you the Zoom link for those sessions. And the last thing I wanted to close with is we have our next chapter meeting. We'll have it in August. So I didn't want to have too much going on with July being the national webinar, people going on vacation. Let's just go ahead and have our next chapter meeting in August. So we'll be planning that together. In the survey I just sent out, I asked for any kind of feedback that you have on different topics you'd want to hear about, speakers, things like that. Feel free to add that in there too. Anytime you guys have ideas, I'd love to hear that. And hopefully in August, we'll be celebrating our Walking Shoes Award. So let's see how that goes. But that'll involve all of us. So I encourage you to go and sign up your team, put your team together, grab all your neighbors and your friends and your family, your employers, grab everybody, have them join your team, donate to your team, and let's continue to raise money for the research that FFB funds. And we'll have more stories like Ashland's to hear about. So yay for that, and more clinical trials. So with that, that's all the information that I have for our chapter meeting. Thank you again for staying around to the very end. I know that it was hopefully a good use of your time. So please do fill out that survey, and I'll just leave it open now for any kind of questions you may have. I'll stay on for any of those. And if you don't have any questions and you're done with the survey, feel free to jump off. Again, also sign up and attend the American Council for the Blind's Arizona conference coming up. Let's support them. And I'll just stay on if anyone has any questions. Renee or Michelle or Kimmy, any last minute comments, thoughts from you guys?
I was talking, but I muted myself. I shared my email in the chat, so anyone has questions about Vision Walk, I'm happy to assist. I know, Karen, you mentioned you would like to get involved, so happy to chat with everyone in more depth, and I have nothing else to add other than that. Thank you all so much for joining. We really appreciate it.
Yeah. And I'll share Rhonda's email as well too, kind of some follow-up notes that we'll send out.
We can also, this is Renee Paulsell, we can also post this meeting that's recorded. We can also post it on our website, our Foundation Fighting Blindness chapters and the Arizona chapter link posted on there.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you, Renee. And again, also thank you to Christina, Dr. Reichardt,